Get ready for a no BS approach to health and fitness. This is NBS Fitness Radio.
What's up? Welcome back to NBS Fitness Radio. I am here with Cheyenne Caldwell. Cheyenne has been a trainer here for a good minute now. How long have you been a trainer here now?
Came full-time in October.
So kind of almost maybe 3/4 of a year. And she also does our recovery room. And so today what we're going to talk about is, 75 hard, because that's a relatively well-known program that people a lot of times have questions about. So we're going to talk through that a little bit and then kind of talk about habit forming, because that's kind of the idea behind 75 hard, is how to form these specific habits. Cool. So do a quick intro of like, what is 75 hard?
In a word, it's miserable. Like people ask me all the time, like, what was it like? I'm like, it freaking sucks. But so like the idea behind it, Andy Frisella made it. He's the owner and founder of First Form. The idea behind it is to like make yourself tougher mentally. A lot of people use it towards that like weight loss goals, and it works like that because of the steps in it. But originally, it's set out to just kind of make you a badass. Like, you're just supposed to be tough as nails and get through all the steps every day.
So originally it wasn't set up as like a physical transformation. It's more like a mental.
It's so much more mental transformation. Exactly. So like that was the appeal to me. Like he originally put it out and was like, I bet nobody does this. I did this because I'm a badass, and I bet nobody else can do this. He's like, all you, and like he's a pretty aggressive like speaker. He's like, all you MFers are gonna quit. Like you're not gonna finish. And that like to me is like, bet, like here we go. Like I'm doing that.
Okay. So that was what attracted to it. That's what you were attracted to, was
just
the challenge of it. Did you feel
Yeah.
like you needed an increase in mental toughness, or?
That was around the same time. So I came full time here in October, and I had started just before that. And I feel like that switch, that life change, like I tried all the different things in nursing that I wanted to do, and I kind of like came out of that. I didn't have like there were days, like 2 or 3 days in a row, where like I didn't have work, and like that was pretty common in the nursing industry. But then like coming out of that and then coming here and like gaining a client base, and like I wasn't always working. I kind of fell off the working out, and I was like, oh God, this is like a terrible setup to go be a trainer, you know? So like, I feel like at that point it was like, like I know I need this to be reintroduced into my life. And I know that the only thing that's going to get me there is me challenging myself.
So you almost kind of like went from having somewhat of a structure to a little less structure. And then without that structure, like some of the beneficial habits kind of fell apart a little bit. Like, I need to get back on track. Let me get a structure again. And that's kind of where 75 hard came in. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So like recreating that routine. So like in 75 hard, you're 75 full days. You start on day one, and my favorite thing is how Andy says, like, you don't try 75 hard. Like, you either do it or you fail it. Like, those are your two options. And he's cool because he's open. He's like, I mean, I made it and I failed it several times, you know? So, like, he's like, you don't try it. So I'm like, okay, like, I'm just going to do this. And at first I kept it, like, real quiet, and I was, like, not going to tell a whole bunch of people because I was like, well, if I fail, I don't want to be, like, the person that failed 75 hard. You know what I mean? And then I realized, like, God, it was probably like a weekend. I was like, oh crap, like I need all the support that I can get. Like, hey, y'all, I'm doing 75 hard. Like, I need everybody to hold me accountable to this. Just to like be more.
It's almost like if you're gonna stop drinking, you probably better tell people you're not drinking, because otherwise, like, you want a beer?
Right.
You want a beer? You want a beer? You're like, no.
Exactly.
Like, you okay? You're pregnant? You know, that kind of stuff. So
yes, and then you have to like go in and explain it. And once you explain it, everybody's super supportive for whatever your reason is. Exactly, but like when you don't have that support system, and I think that's like a big thing that we forget about a lot about like disciplines and habits and stuff like that. Like you have to have that support system. So like I told my husband that was it, and in the beginning, and I was like, oh God, like I can't do this. Like I need everybody I know on board with this. Like I have to be like that girl that is doing this now.
To go through what all the steps are.
Yeah, so it's 75 days full. If you miss one single step, you have to restart at day one. It is drink a gallon of water every day. You have to do
a gallon of water, not liquid.
Water.
So my Kill Club doesn't count.
So like,
I have
it is water, like your plain H2O. Gallon of water every day. You have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day. It cannot be, he specifies that it cannot be online or like on a Kindle or anything. Like you have to have paper turning in your hand. You have to pick a diet. doesn't matter what diet it is, and you have to stick to it with no cheat meals and no alcohol. So like that's his parameters. It's like, so like for me, I knew like I needed to eat clean and follow within the macros that I had set out, and like actually genuinely eat macros, which is like a whole other conversation. So like not just eating cake for your carbs, but no alcohol and no cheat
So when he
meals.
says like choose a diet, like what are the parameters for that? It's just
That's it. Whatever you're gonna stick to, that's your
Gotcha.
diet.
And what if you're
But,
like,
like, it I mean-
if part of your diet is to have like a crazy high carb day, does that count?
I think that's kind of where you you kind of know the answer to that. You know what I mean? So
Are
like,
you're using it as a fake cheat meal, or
is that your cheat meal? Exactly. It's like, is that your cheat meal? Is that your only way that you're actually sticking to the rest of your days? Or is that genuinely like you're high carb, like you need these carbs in you for fuel, and they're wisely chosen carbs? Or it's not just like you're cramming pizza and donuts into your face. I also think that there's like an element of like, there's this moral obligation of like, I know what I'm doing.
if the purpose,
I know that this is
if
cheating.
the purpose is like mental toughness, then it should probably be, that can be your guide. Like,
Right.
would it be more mentally challenging to have, like, I do need these high carb days because that's like the way I can refuel myself. So, but I mean, I'm gonna do it using high quality carbs, or it's like, man, sure would be
Right.
nice to eat ho-hos.
Exactly. And that's where I think like it really does come into play. Like, whether you're cheating or not, you know what that means to you. So like for a lot of people, it may be like, I have pizza on Fridays and that's part of my diet. You know what I mean? Like that's cool, but like that's not your cheats. Like you're not doing it on Saturday morning, like eating the cold leftover pizza. So that's the nutrition part of it. The exercise part of it. So like these two combined is I think what people misread into this being like a weight loss program.
And it probably would be it's a weight loss program if you don't currently exercise and eat right.
Right. If this is life changing for you,
it's
then
gonna
absolutely.
be some less calories consumed and more calories burned.
Exactly. So the calories burned, the exercise part is you have to do 2 45-minute workouts every day. One of them has to be outside. That's one of those things that's like, that's where you start, it starts to hit you like, oh, like I have to be tough as shit to do this. Like it's spitting snow, it's freezing rain, it's Memphis and we're getting like a hurricane in the middle of the year. You know what I mean? Like crazy stuff. And you're outside and you're walking around like your neighbors are like, what is wrong with her? I mean, you know all about that. Your neighbors are looking at you like you're crazy. You know what I mean? So like part of that, is like we need to be outside more, like first and foremost. Like, but it's not really doing anything for you in terrible weather except making you tough. That's it. Like you could just as easily burn more, get fitter inside for that workout if it's crappy outside. But it's just about doing it. I mean, like, check that off my list. I did that shit. It was hard. And then the last step for the 75 hard is to take a progress picture every day.
So why don't you kind of talk through maybe some of your strategies for each one of those and, like, which ones were the more difficult ones, which ones were the easy, like, just kind of go through each one of those and kind of expand on it for you personally.
Okay. For me personally, the water was the easiest one. Like I was already right there anyway. Just had to make sure that it got done. That was it.
How did you track that?
I use my fitness pal for that, and it has that water. And I just made sure every time I finished a bottle, good. Okay. Yeah. So I used my fitness pal for that and for tracking my macros as well. So that kind of plays into the choose a diet and stick to it.
Was there ever a day where you're like, shit, I'm behind in my water, and like now I have to
like there were definitely days where I would like get up in the middle of the night and like have to pee so much.
Drink it all in the last half of the day.
Yeah, I drank it all in the last hour. I was like, I need to go to bed so bad. So yeah, the water was I would say the easiest step. The hardest step for me was definitely the progress picture. And like you wouldn't think, but I had like two alarms that would go off my phone before the end of the day. Like it had to be the same time every day. There's no way in heck I was doing it in the morning, trying to like map out all of the stuff that I was going to do.
Is there any parameters for the progress pic? It'd just be a pic in the mirror. Okay.
Pic in the mirror.
You don't have to share it. You can just take a picture.
No, you don't have to share it. So for me, it was just like remembering to do it. And I also don't want to like photograph myself. I've always felt weird about that, And so like some certain people, I feel like that would probably be like the easiest one. They're like, cool, snap a photo. But like, I don't want to look at myself in the mirror every time, And so that was definitely the hardest one for me. And I'll forget.
Did that change, like, change at all through it? Like, maybe halfway through, were you able to see some like physical progress that made you be like, oh, okay.
So there were some things on the photos that I saw, like you could still see the ebb and flow, and I thought for sure, like with no alcohol in this program, like I was like, oh, like I'll drop weight real fast, and like there were some areas of my body that like changed, and they still have stayed changed, and it's awesome. And then there were some areas that just kind of ebbed and flowed, and it just depended on like what I was going through, if I was sleeping enough. Like it's crazy how much the rest of your day plays into that, or your sleep or your recovery or whatever. So.
Did you? Okay, let me ask you this: Did you feel like you took anything away from the progress pic that you would like implement going forward?
I would say yes. Though actually, when I look back at all my progress pictures, it's just like either the phone's in front of my face or like I'm not smiling. And my very last one was like this like little grin, like heck yeah. And then I actually did the first phase of the next Live Hard program, and in those, it was like this miserable face, and then the very end was like heck yeah. And I think that's kind of the takeaway of it is like you did that shit, like you've completed that, and that's huge. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from the progress picture. Also, like knowing that you have to get back out of bed and do something because you forgot, that creates some discipline.
So like when I was doing like bodybuilding, we would take weekly progress pics. Now it was a little bit more of a process because there were like parameters. It was like it has to be a white background. You got to be in this. You got to do these 3 poses or whatever.
So you have more.
And it was more like it was like the more the hassle was to be like, hey Jennifer, can you take a picture of me again? While she's like trying to get ready, and it had to be the same time, first thing in the morning. She's like trying to get ready for bed. I'm like, can you take a picture real quick? That was kind of the hassle for it. But like, I was just thinking like my current habits. It's like I do the InBody every Thursday, and I do weigh every morning.
Yeah.
And to me, it's more just of a reminder and kind of like a check-in to keep you from like going off the deep end one way or another. You know, like. That's kind of what I see as the progress pic. But for me, the progress pic becomes a little bit more subjective, whereas like the other stuff's objective data.
Right.
You know, I went up X amount of pounds, I put on muscle, I lost fat, whatever it would be, versus like a progress pic is like, I look at myself in the mirror every day, just brushing my teeth and whatnot, and can kind of like, what is my body doing right now? But yeah, I think that taking the progress pic for me would be like, more just checking up. Like I don't think I'd have any mental toughness from. I'd just be like, okay, done.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like I think for a lot of people, it probably the easiest. For me, it was just like, man, I really don't want to do this, and so I stupidly chose to do it at the end of the day, and it was a lot of nights of getting out of bed and turning on the lights, and Jake being like, what the heck?
Taking a picture again, weirdo.
Yeah. Exactly. It was just that was the worst part for me. The stick to a diet, the no alcohol, that I want to say that was awesome, but it wasn't. It was the sticking to the diet was probably the easier part of the two.
What diet did you choose?
I just filled my macros. Like I ate clean and I filled my macros.
I mean, how did you determine your macros?
Nutrition coaching.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had Brandon, excellent nutrition coach. He walked me through all like what it should look like to have every day. We changed it every once in a while, like once a month we would change it, which this goes on for like almost 3 months, you know. So we did have to change some things. Just making sure like just being in the routine of like making sure I've hit my calories, like making sure you've hit your protein. Like those are like constant reminders now after doing that like you start to see like what food looks like to measure it and stuff like that. So I think that was definitely a very, very good skill to develop or redevelop, I guess.
What I found is one of the things about macros is it somewhat forces you to fall into a routine for nutrition. Meaning like it's really hard to follow macros if you like eat a different breakfast, different lunch, different dinner every night. That's really hard. So it kind of forces you to kind of like, I got to create some structure in my life so that, because otherwise, like trying to go search every food item. Now it's kind of way easier. Like now you can scan barcodes and all that kind of stuff. But
there's a lot of good options now, but it definitely does like restructure what your like meals look like, and like it makes it, you genuinely have to think about it. And to make it easy or simple.
Right. I eat the same thing every day for breakfast because that's easier to punch into my fitness pal.
Right. But then also like keeping with nutrition, like you have to still have variety in your life, you know. That was pretty difficult for me. Like when I did it, it was October through like I think it ended like December 22nd or something. So like I went through Thanksgiving being like the bump on a log and like not drinking, not eating anything. That sucked. I went through my birthday like not having like a glass of wine at birthday dinner, and I was like, well, this is like kind of depressing. But at the end of the day, like I know I could do it again. You know what I mean? Like I know I can handle that again, and I think that's the whole point of that.
And what, like, okay, talk to me through the alcohol thing. Like, what was your takeaway from that?
I think that that's probably the one thing that like changed and stuck in maybe the progress pictures that I saw in my body. Like where I lost fat and where I could start seeing tone had changed before, and definitely changed during 75 hard without alcohol, and then comes back as soon as you start drinking it again. And like if I choose to cut it out for either like another phase of live hard or whatever I've done before to cut it out all together, you can see that those certain areas of your body change over.
Like for you, what was that? Like what areas?
For me, it's chest and stomach. So like I can
you
see
like
it
hold bloat
all
there,
the time.
like fat. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not even bloat. Like it's just straight up fat. We won't sugarcoat that. So like I think that the alcohol part was challenging, but it's so rewarding.
What did you? Okay, well, maybe kind of talk through a little bit. Like how often were you drinking beforehand, and then coming out of like 75 hard, did you feel like, oh my gosh, I just want to drink, or did I like somewhat solidify as like, I can have a drink here and there, but I don't need to have, like how that all that go?
That's a good question, because my drinking before was kind of like on a roller coaster, like heck yeah, like drinks all day, and then it'd be like nothing for like 2 or 3
feel like
weeks, you know?
Yeah.
So like it just kind of depended. And I've always been able to like recover pretty quickly from it. I mean, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm hydrated as heck, and so like having all of those things factor in are positives. But I thought for sure, I was like, this is going to change my tolerance being off of it for this long and being so healthy for so long and blah, blah, blah. And it literally did nothing. Like it didn't change. Like you are who you are when it comes to alcohol. So like if you struggle with it, or you hold bloat or fat in certain areas because of it, or you feel like crap during a workout because of it, like that's pretty much always going to stay the same. And you only get relief by not having it. So I think that's pretty much what I learned from it. So like like I said, like I would kind of like roller coaster drink here and there, like special occasions drink a lot, small occasions. And like I can still do that, but I see the effects so much more of it from being off of it for that amount of time.
Yeah, it's like you have that you now have that awareness of like, because you had a good 75 days of no alcohol, so now like you're quite aware of any change. You had 75 days doing the same thing every day, so now when you introduce one new data point,
element,
you can very easily see what happens.
That's the problem.
Okay, so after 75 hard, were you like, I want a beer, or were you like, I want 6 beers?
I don't. Let's see. It was right before Christmas, so like I really wanted Bailey's and some decaf coffee. I had that. I think the day I ended, and then I probably had like 2 glasses of wine, and I was like, I just feel really dehydrated. I just don't feel awesome. Yeah, like I am not doing amazing today. The thing that really affected it was the workouts the day after. So like, whereas I could before handle like 3 glasses of wine and like a big night out, after being off of it for that long was like, wow, 3 glasses of wine, same tolerance, same reaction, but the next day is absolute crap in the gym. And like knowing that that's a sacrifice that you're making. Not in the sense of like punishing yourself, but just being
like,
aware
I'm gonna
of
feel
it,
like
like you
crap
said.
tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see the other steps. The workouts. I mean, y'all saw me out here being like total psycho. I can say for sure I started too hard with them. I was like out here doing
I'm doing like
watts
legit
a day.
workouts.
Yeah. Oh, like I was like working out like twice a day, and like about halfway through, I was like, okay, like I can't do this a whole lot longer. I'm not holding here very well. So a lot of those workouts changed to like being more organized, and I don't know if there's a way that like people know before they just start doing 2 or 3 or whatever it is a day, and I don't know if there's a way that they just know that like this is what works for you, and this is the point where you hit fatigue, and then this is the point where you recover. But over the course of the 75 days, about halfway through, like I said, I probably switched to like I would say a lighter training for a second training or indoor training or outdoor training or whatever it was. And that could look like a weighted vest walk or like a bike ride, like something a little simpler than doing like 2 CrossFit WODs a day. By the end of it, I was like, oh, I can totally handle 2 WODs again. And so like that was definitely interesting. The day after I ended, it was either day of or day after I ended, I had a new front squat PR. And I was like, there's no way in heck. Like, I'm so unrecovered. I'm so fatigued. I've eaten so clean. Like, I just want a donut, and I feel like I could squat a lot better, you know? But still being able to hit these benchmarks afterwards, like, it genuinely proves that your body is so resilient to it. As much as those 2 workouts a day felt like absolute crap, and like I hadn't recovered, that's the one thing I can say, like, I missed during the entire thing. It wasn't alcohol. It wasn't anything. It was not recovering, like not having a day of recovery or a day of rest or whatever it is. But knowing that you can go 75 days without a day of rest and still hit a giant max lift, like, that's pretty cool.
I think a lesson for a lot of people is like, your body can handle way more than you can psychologically. Your body is way stronger than your mind. And we've been kind of told some of these fitnessisms, like, you gotta wait 48 hours between training a body part. And like I was talking to one of my clients the other day. I'm like, one thing that kind of CrossFit has done for me is like kind of blown away a lot of that stuff. And I think I would use examples being, I was like, in buds, they do hundreds of push-ups, hundreds of pull-ups, hundreds of sit-ups, hundreds of leg raises, swim, run, a lot. Every single day. Now, they do have Saturday, Sunday off. But it is Monday through Friday all day. And your body is just resilient and will find a way to adapt to that. Now, there's a sweet spot in there that's like, hey, you can handle all this and it's getting better. And then there's, like, you can push over the edge, which they do in buds, just the purpose. But it's generally way more than what you think it is. It's the whole, like, well, 3 days a week is what it's like. Your body was designed to work all day, every day, from the time you were born to the time you were die. We just aren't exposed to that at all. And I think one thing I've noticed for myself is that, like, adding in what would be considered like a crazy workout load, multiple sessions a day, forces you to lock all your other stuff in place. It like you can do it, but it's going to start wearing on you if your sleep's not right, if you're not eating, if you're not hydrated. That's where you become quite aware of, like, oh crap, like, I had one bad day of sleep, and then the next day I got to do 2 workouts. Like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And then it just kind of snowballs on. And I think that is kind of the way that he's fashioned this is kind of hits all of those areas that you're, like, hyper aware of where your deficit is, and where you're not organized in your life and where you don't have the habits that are actually going to help you. But definitely not recovering and still being able to, like, pull out awesome times in the WODs and, like, hit big maxes. Like, that was the most mind-blowing part of that all to me.
I think the tough part of that, so, like, my current schedule is I do like a 30 to 45-minute workout in the morning. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it is like something skill development. So it would be like, right now it's like handstand work or like muscle up work. It's not a really like hard, high heart rate workout, but like it's a hard workout. I mean, it's muscularly fatiguing. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I do like foot stuff, neck stuff, and like swim, some type of like zone 2 cardio. So that's like my lighter days. But I do those in the morning, man. Like I think to me the benefit was like starting my day with some type of exercise. I do it in my garage, but the door's up, so I'm like always exposing myself to like the sunlight. Like that has just made a huge difference in like getting me going in the morning and giving me energy throughout the day. And I do the class WOD at either midday or 9, and then at night I'll do like a little 15 to 20 minute ROM WOD stretching routine. And the biggest thing that I've noticed is I just generally feel very good and very recovered quickly. It's kind of counterintuitive. You're like, you're doing 3 workouts a day and you feel more recovered. I'm like, yes.
More recovered, yeah.
But what I like from these WODs, I've noticed, like, generally speaking, my heart rate's back relatively quickly, and I'm back to energetic within like where you are now, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's instantaneous if I do the cold tub.
Yeah.
But I take off Saturday. I always take off Sunday like completely. Now I'm like active with my kids, but I don't have any structured workouts on Sundays. And
Right.
Saturday, like I said, is just a 20-minute zone 2 cardio.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like if I had to work out on those days, I can see that where just becomes this grind of like I just need one day off. It's like there's something to be said about like the biblical wisdom of like have your day of rest.
Yes, exactly. I feel like I preached that the whole time. It was like, all I want is like day of rest. Like I don't want to do 2 workouts today. So, and that, I think that plays a lot into like organization of your day and your week and your months and your 75 days, which just seems so small when you say it's 75 days, but like that is forever.
I'm trying to figure out when are these 45 minutes happening.
Right. And that's where like a lot of my friends have been like, well, like, I just can't do it. Like a lot of my nursing friends, like I work 12-hour shifts, and like you would be a badass if you could do that. You know what I mean? Like imagine how amazing and how accomplished you would be, but like, God, you'd be tired. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily like the thing for everybody to do, but for me, that was exactly what I needed to be able to know that I still can. And like we say 45 minutes, but like in all reality, like encompassing, it's an hour. You know what I mean? But organizing it to make sure that you don't kick yourself in the butt and just like eat crap the whole time, you know, and then be like just knowing that you can get through whatever it is, what other elements are thrown at you.
Well, another part of that is I have often said that anytime I have any major business changes going on, well, I found the best thing for me is I don't do 75 hard, but it's some type of crazy structure like that. And so like with the Ninja Gym and everything, I was like, time to go on a diet and start working out 3 times a day. And people are like, that makes 0 sense. But what it does is it forces me to organize everything and cut out all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And so like that person's like, I work 12-hour shift. There's no way I could do this. What you end up going is you're like, no, you totally could. You just have a bunch of bullshit in your life that you're currently not willing to cut out.
Right.
But it's like you work in 12-hour shifts, which is a lot of work. Let's assume you sleep for 8 hours. You now have 4 hours in the day to get stuff done. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing in those 4 hours?
Right. Right. And that's where like I think a lot of this took a lot of like organization, especially for me, like coming out of nursing and coming into this field and like not really knowing what my schedule would look like. And then there were days where, I mean, you work weird hours and like you're up super early and up here super late. And it was just kind of like making sure that everything was so organized to make sure that you hit all the targets that make you better and you more disciplined and you have these good habits, then you can preach it to everybody else.
Yeah. And you kind of realize, like, you can now help people like, okay, like you're finding 3 hours a day to get your workouts in and prep your meals, and I was like, I can at least help you find 1 hour or 3 hours a week.
Exactly.
That's like the whole notion of people like, I just don't have time. Like, you got the time. You just got some bullshit in your life.
You've got to make it. You've got to make it a priority. It just has to be. And that's back to like the challenge of it.
The bounce back from 75 hard would be like trying to find 5 days a week to work out. You're like, that's easy. Like I was working out.
Exactly. It's like there's absolutely no excuse for me not to go do something on Sunday now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what is that?
What you've done is you've like slowly kind of cut out the things that aren't a priority, and then now when 75 hard's over, you've got some space, and you're like, oh, I got space in my life to do stuff. What do I want to do? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. The thing that I think stuck the most, though, one of the steps that stuck the most is reading. If there's like a day or two where I don't read something, now it can be, fiction or nonfiction, whatever it is, but for that it was nonfiction. Now I'm like, y'all want to start a book club? Like, who wants to read something, and like if there's like 2 or 3 days, I'm like, I feel stupid. Like, I have to read something. I think that's one of the things that carried itself over more. And I used to be a big reader, and then it just kind of fell off. Like life doesn't get prioritized. You know, like it just doesn't get prioritized. Life is like, hey, like you don't have to read a book right now. And putting that back into like a daily routine, like always having a book in my purse or my bag, you know, like being back to that, it feels a lot more normal after.
When do you read?
Whenever.
So you just have like
Currently? Yeah,
Okay.
whenever. If I have a gap, then I read.
Cool.
Yeah. If I haven't read that day and it's like evening time, I'll read. When I was on Live Hard, it was very planned out. Like, this is my block for reading time. Otherwise, it's not getting done, right? Like, making sure that I had that, like, fail-safe of, like, this is my reading time. And if I don't use that reading time, or if I go over on it, what if whatever else it was, you're screwed at the end of the night when you're up and taking your progress picture. Like, shit, I can't read either. And then you're up, and it's 11 o'clock. You haven't recovered. You feel like crap the next day.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I started. I mean, it's been a decade, I would guess. Definitely once I started running the business, I was like, started reading books all the time. But yeah, and I feel once it becomes that habit of like building yourself, really, it's like oh man, like there's useful things within these books. You know, once you recognize like oh, there's so much good stuff. And I can't remember who. Oh, what was the book? We both read it, where the guy was talking about the condensed knowledge. He was saying like it takes X amount of years of knowledge to write a blog post, X amount of years.
Was that in The Art of the Impossible?
Yeah, it's just like averaging like 10 years of experience to write a book. So you're basically
right, and it takes somebody like 6 hours.
Yeah, so they're condensing 10 years into 6 hours.
Exactly,
is like this amazing ROI. And so like once you kind of get in that habit, you're like, oh my goodness, like. You don't want to miss
how much.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on it.
Yeah,
so like I found I read before bed every day, and like I found myself and crap, I'm getting in bed at the time like I really need to be going to sleep. But like I'll almost, unless I'm like way over that, I'll almost always be like, I give up an hour of sleep to get my reading in, because like I'll feel fine the next day. With 7 hours sleep or whatever, 6.5, but. Like it's almost like become this routine that like I'm willing to sacrifice sleep to
you're willing to push that back to
make sure I get the reading in. Because it's like it's like feels like this fuel to my brain and makes me feel better, and I learn something. And
just makes you feel smarter.
I'm like, okay, cool.
It makes you smarter. But yeah, I mean, for me, I genuinely enjoy it so much. So it's like anytime I have like downtime where I'm not working out or not working on something else, like I'm gonna read.
That's when people say like, oh, I hate reading. I'm like. I feel like somewhat that's impossible.
It's like hating water.
Yeah, I'm like,
normal.
There's no way you hate reading, because you just may have chosen the wrong books or have not implemented it well. But it's like there's like we said, it's so much good knowledge you can instantly utilize in some way that's going to improve your life. Now it may be that like. You read something and it shines some light on some stuff, and you're not wanting to hear that. You know, that might be part of it.
Well, that and like it genuinely is a skill. Like a lot of these things are like skill, like we talked about, like seeing what your meals look like and what that fits in your macros or whatever it is. Like a lot of these are actually skills that you're developing. And like 75 days is enough to make a habit or a skill, and develop that. Like same with reading. Like it is a skill to be able to like. I mean, not all
focus in.
I think it's a skill, to focus and to kind of cut through the bullshit and like know what you should take away from this at this point in your life, and then know which books to pull back out at another point in your life.
Yeah, I think
I think that's definitely a skill.
If throughout the day you're just constantly getting bombarded by flashy screens and information, a book can seem boring to consume. Or too active. Like I'm always used to this passive information. But I've kind of explained it as it's also a really good step down process for sleep. So if you think like when you're engaging with your phone, one of the reasons it's so pleasant is you're getting visual stimulation,
all of it,
audio stimulation, and then touch. You're getting to touch it. And then like if you go to a TV, you're just getting audio and visual, and then a book is just visual. Maybe I mean there's a little touching, but not really. And then like music is just audio, and so like
decreasing that stimulation all the way down the ladder.
Like I used to just be like, man, you probably shouldn't watch any TV at night. This is a reality of like what it does to your brain. It's not it's not good for you, and it's not going to make you sleep well. But if you're going to step it down, you need to watch TV no later than an hour before bed. Like if you go to bed at 10, at 9, all screens should be completely off.
Screens are off, yeah.
And then like 9 to 10, you can step it down. I'm going to listen to some music while I take a shower, brush my teeth or whatever, or a podcast. And then I'm going to get in bed, I'm going to read. And that'll kind of help you step down. But if you go straight from phone in bed, like if you're like, if you're in bed with your phone and you put it down, it's really hard for your brain to turn off.
Yeah, for sure. All the senses are overloaded. But yeah, actually, like turning pages of a book, like there are studies that show like which parts of the brain that lights up, and it's all like the soothing aspects of it. You know, like it is good to do that manual movement.
Okay, so I gave you guys Kindles.
Yeah.
What's your thought on the Kindle versus the book?
That's an awesome question. I love the Kindle because you can have so much on it. And it's so small and so light, and you can have it just right there with your phone or laptop or whatever it is. Amazing for travel. I think it's still weird to like charge your book. I feel like that's just still such a weird concept.
The thing that gives me up on the Kindles, like it stays charged for like a month and a half. So like,
you can read a lot of books on it.
Crap, where's my charger? Like my phone, I charge every day.
I lose my charger before I lose the Kindle. Yeah, exactly. They do say charge awesome life on the battery, but for the convenience of it, love the Kindle. For the like nostalgia of it, I just really like a book. I also like having all my books on the bookshelf too. I think that like for me, that's kind of like an accomplishment. Like once you like finish the book, you fold the back in and then you put it on the shelf. That's a cool thing for me. I also feel like I remember them better on the shelf because I've seen them over and over and over, those covers over and over, as opposed on the Kindle where you actually like never go to your menu or your library or whatever it is. So I think there's really good things to it, and like you found good ways to like take the quotes out of the Kindle and do stuff with that. Maybe I'm just not, that's not my skill yet. That's not my skill set yet. But I think bottom line, I would probably prefer a book.
Yeah, for me, the benefit of the Kindle is the ease of it.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Because like when someone's like, I read this book, I'm like, cool. I can instantly, I got it.
Got it.
You know, which I like. And then like when I'm got a new book, I can just go to my menu, find out where the book is. From like a note-taking standpoint, I can instantly access all those notes anywhere. Like it's on my computer, it's on my phone, it's in the Kindle. I've got, man, what did that book say? I can find it like right in there.
Yeah.
You know, I do like the page turn of the book as well.
It's just something about it.
But like for me, I think kind of like I've got a bookcase, and like honestly, most of those books, I'm like, I got to throw away these books. I'm never reading that thing again. So I think the like strategy for me would be to like, if I'm like, that is a book that I want to have in person, I'll like, I'm gonna buy that in paperback and or hardback, whatever, and get it sent, and I'll have that, and I'll read that book again, through paper. But I have like a stack of books on my on my nightstand, and I have my Kindle. And like at the end of every book, I go, what should I do? I'm like,
I should pick one of those.
So like, because as soon as someone tells me a book, I order it. So I end up always having way more books than I can possibly read, but I'm okay. I'm okay.
Read, That's not a bad problem to have. But I do think that is one of those skills that really like genuinely carries over, and you redevelop it, and you kind of get that routine or that habit back of stimulating your mind. Whether it's like I said, like whether it's nonfiction or fiction, either one like still genuinely does.
Well, how often do you read fiction? Okay.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. I like have this internal battle with myself, like you, like with the book or the Kindle. Like, am I gonna pick a nonfiction or fiction now? So like, I'll get addicted to like a certain series or whatever. So I do read fiction a lot, but I read it a lot faster. So normally I can like do one fiction in a week and then do a nonfiction in 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think I need to read more fiction. I think I was talking about this with Chris Cooper. I was like, man, I don't know. I had to be super motivated to read a business book, and I was like, the reason why is more that like a lot of business books could be condensed to a pamphlet. There's like so much stuff in it, because like the idea of business books is like, give me action items to implement. Well, that could be condensed to a one pager, right? That here's the 5 actions, and like I don't really have to be convinced to take the action. I'm reading this book because I'm wanting to improve this area, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things about Two Brain that I like is it's like if I have a question that needs answering, like I know where to go, so I can find the answers to those relatively quick. And like reading a book is not that. I might have to read this book for a month to get 3 things that I'm gonna do, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
And so sometimes like I'll open these business books, and it is a lot of like, it's just a lot of fluff.
Do you find that the more you read them, though, the more you can like the skill that you develop is kind of filtering through the fluff to get what you need?
Yes. I'm kind of like yes. And so what I found is like there are times where I'll say, here's a particular problem I'm trying to solve, and someone would kind of give me the overview of this, and this. But I would read this book because it can give you a little more in depth, and that will kind of like drive me into, okay, now I'm going to read this book.
Right.
But what I end up reading a lot of is like bibliographies kind of stuff, or like people's stories that are they're nonfiction. But so there are some business books or like self-help books out there. As a self-help, but like Jordan Peterson would be like one where he's got like some stories in there of himself, or like I'm trying to think of one I just read. Like Tim Kennedy, it's like a lot of Jocko's books. They're like, they're not quite business books. They're personal development books that have story based in them, which I like a lot of. But I think I've enjoyed reading fiction, but typically I'll only save it for like vacation. And I'd be like, tell me what's some good books to read, and then I'll pull one for my vacation read.
Yeah.
But I think I'd like to kind of get in a routine where it's like, 1, 2, 3, okay. I already got all the action items I can need right now. I don't need more action items to implement in my life. Let me just kind of enjoy a story.
Yeah. Also, and like stimulate your imagination too. Like allow the authors to do what they are wanting to do, and make your mind work in a different way that doesn't work with personal growth and development books. You know what I mean? Like if they're telling you the story, that's all well and good until you can actually visualize like what's going on in this plot and things like that. I just think it has so much to offer your mind.
100%. Okay, what are the other action items what did we miss?
Let's say we covered water, we covered workouts, diet, no alcohol, progress picture, and
I think that's it. Reading. Okay.
Reading. Yeah. That's 75 hard in a nutshell. Live hard. Phases add more steps into them.
Have you done the full live hard? Okay.
I did the 75. I waited my like month or two, whatever it was, and I did the first phase.
Gotcha. And you can.
I need some motivation.
And
to
you
do
can
the second
complete
one.
first phase and you're done. You completed it. Now you can go to the phase 2. You don't have to restart.
Yeah. You do not have to restart. Yeah.
Well, before we go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Go.
Like, who should try 75 hard? Who's it for?
I think it's for people who are ready to like genuinely embrace the suck. Like, that you need this, or that you're like, boom, like I want to be the challenged person. Like I'm not the challenger. I'm the one that wants to be challenged. And for me, I think that it's definitely one of those things. Like either you do 75 hard or you don't. You may do some things that are similar to it. You may have this awesome routine. You may do like you do a lot of action steps from it. They're kind of mirror. They walk beside it. But like you either do it or you don't. So the thing that kills me is when people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna do 75 hard, but I'm gonna do it for 14 days, and I'm still gonna drink. And on Saturdays I can have whatever I want, but I'm only doing one workout a day." I'm like, "You're not doing 75. Like the whole point of it is to be as tough as it possibly can and challenge you into that."
So
And then just kind of like ride or die, like see if you make it, you know? So like as far as like people to do it, I do think that there is a very select group of people that can manage to do it and would want to do it once they realize the actual extent of what this is, not their own little version, not like Cheyenne hard, you know, like like it's the whole program, because the program teaches you what the program teaches
I think when you said like it's for mental toughness, I think what a lot of people see it, it's like, ooh, this is like a transformation thing. It's like a physical transformation. And they're kind of like, yeah, I mean, you'll have physical transformation, but like you said, it's like that should be a byproduct of becoming mentally tough. And it would almost be like, if you're unwilling to do all the steps of 75 hard, then it's not for you.
Yeah. If one of the like my friends that are like, oh, I work 12 hours, well then it's not for you.
Or if
like
that's
if that's your first excuse, like if you come up like the first thing that you say is like,
here's why I can't do it.
I want to do that. Here's why I can't. Yeah. The first thing you pull out of there is an excuse. This is not for you. And then just know, like, that's not the thing. Like, you may be mentally tough down the road, but like that's not the thing that's gonna make you tough.
Well, and that's okay. Like I think for a lot of people, it's just like, well, okay. Let me ask you this: Do you think it's something that someone should do if they've like never implemented any of these habits before? Like if I don't work out or haven't in a long time. I eat like shit. I don't read. I don't drink any water. Is 75 hard for me?
I think it can be. Like I think that like maybe it's like one in 1,000 people that are like that out of that pool. But like I do think that it can be. Like I think it calls on very specifically minded people that know that that is what they need and that's what they lack and that's what they want to develop or redevelop. Like I used to be super duper disciplined. Like I said, like that change in my life happened. I'm like, oh, like I need to get back to that. And I don't feel like I can do that by myself. I need this structure for it. So I think that like even those people that are not anywhere near what the action steps are, I think if they have enough of their own call to action, then that person is still going to be successful doing it regardless.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost like it's like a punch in the face. Like, how would you respond to being punched in the face? And like, some people are not going to respond good to that. You know, and that's okay. Like, meaning like, for some people, they would not drink for 30 days, and then they would fail, and they would fail hard. They would do okay eating like this very strict diet, and they would in training, and then they would fail at 30 days, and they would fail hard, and it would be like this real big bounce back. Yes. And their response would be, screw it. Not like, man, I got punched in the face, and like that one took me down. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna do it again. Mm-hmm. They would like. They wouldn't sit there and be like, I screwed up. I wasn't prepared. Next time, I'm right back in it, and I'm gonna get this time. Yeah. So it's like almost like having some self-awareness. Like, are you the type of person who's gonna look at it as a challenge and like a true challenge? Like, I have to do this. Like, I want to be punched in the face. I want someone to punch me in the face so I can. So I can get back up and do it again. So I have a reason to fight here, like, and I need that kind of motivation. Or like, this would be a fun thing to do. Like, maybe I like to lose 20 pounds. You know, like that's probably not the program for you, because there are some people that I agree. I think there are people who need the like all or nothing approach. They need the all in. Yeah. It's not everyone. Yeah.
No, and I think it's actually very few people, like fewer people than you think, that need it and that thrive on it. Like I think a lot of people just that we've gotten so soft as a society that like having the determination to do something really hard and knowing that you're the one that's putting yourself through it and you're really kind of the only one holding yourself accountable. Like if I walked in here during that and I was like, oh, I failed, y'all be like, oh, it's okay, like you tried your best. Like, no, you didn't. You did not try your best. Like your best would be completing it the first time. Like that's your best.
Your best is doing it.
Your best is doing that shit all the way 100%. Like we've created this like soft community where like oh, like it's okay, don't worry about it. That's bullshit. Like, no, hold people to a higher standard and don't let them do like their form of it or whatever. Like if you think that person is the kind of person that could do this, force them to do this. You know what I mean? But like if you think that person may not be there yet, either force them to do it and let them fail and let that teach them to do it again, or then yes, give them their own program, but don't call it the same program because you're awarding that person like a participation trophy, and that's bullshit. Like that's the problem with the world we live in.
You say like, I did 75 hard. It's like, did you though?
No, I did my own version of it. Yeah, which is like so not a thing.
Yeah. That's a good description of it, I think. All right, let's talk about the Live Hard program and then like what the addition of that is.
I can speak to the first phase of it. First phase adds in several other steps. I'll try to remember them all. You've got everything that you did for 75 hard. All those steps stay the same. You have to add in 3 like critical tasks every day, and that he talks a lot on what that really means. For me, that was something that definitely had to be like, it had to access different parts of you. So like one was a physical, one was like an organizational, and one was a spiritual. So like for me, like I had to listen to a sermon every day, or like read every day out of a devotion or whatever it was. I did like an environmental, like a physical, like a household task. Like I have to get my shit cleaned up.
I'm
you know, like
I am. Or put the dishes away.
I am not gonna exactly. It doesn't have to be the same one necessarily every day. Like I can't remember what they all were, but like it was like I have to do this every day, or I have to get all of this done every day. That was a critical task for me because living in an unorganized world for me is unproductive. So like it has to kind of relate to you personally. And then that was your 3 critical tasks. You have to do 10 minutes of visualization. That was hard. I can say I have not done that since. That's really hard. Like finding your quiet space and not necessarily using it as like meditation or like quiet time, actually differentiating like visualization. Like what do you want this moment to look like? How can you see yourself being successful in this scenario? Like using that, like you hear about like vision boards and stuff like that. Like using that's your time to make your mental mind up as to what's going to happen. That's a habit I have not revisited. Probably should. But it's
is the first phase 75 days? Is it an?
It is 30.
It's 30 days. Okay.
It is 30. Yep. So this is definitely more like habit forming. It's reminding you of that toughness that you did for the 75 days. You have to do the 75 days to get to the 30. And then the other one is a 5-minute cold shower. Yeah. 5 minute? I think it's 5. I did 5. It may be written as another time
like 3
frame,
or something. Yeah,
like 2 or 3. Yeah. I did 5. Felt like that was appropriately cold. Which you would
like,
probably
this is awesome.
sit in there for like, you're like, wow, look how warm this water is.
I took a shower after the workout before this.
Yeah.
And like the water is hot. The groundwater, like whatever pipes that this is going through is hot water. And I was fuck. Like I sat there, I was like, is this thing broken? Oh no. Yeah. Oh no.
No, it's 1,002 degrees out, actually.
So there's like you take a warm shower, like post like there's nothing I want less than warm water on me post workout.
And then it doesn't take and you sweat the
rest I was just like, this sucks. So I'm the opposite. Like a warm shower would be like, this is miserable. Yeah. Okay.
So I can't remember if there was anything else.
You had the 3 critical tasks, 5-minute or cold shower. You do visualization. Did I miss one?
No, that was the other 3.
I did. What was this book called? Miracle Morning. Is that a book? Something like that. Miracle.
I know there's like the 5 a.m. club that's like becoming kind of popular. That's kind of in that same category.
I think it was called Miracle Morning. I can't exactly remember, but it's like, you know, how to set up your morning to knock out these tasks, and it was like basically something physical, spiritual, mental. But yeah, some of the visualization was like it was tough for me to. It was tough for me to like figure that out. Like,
it's a hard concept to grasp, like what that actually is to begin with. And then on top of it, like 10 minutes is a long time to just be in your mind and not get distracted and let it wander. And I ran into it several times where I was like, I'm like totally off track here. Yeah. Like, or there was just like nothing going on. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm in like a dead zone.
I feel like I feel like not having an active task for me makes me do worse. Like
It's pretty difficult.
like having a board where I'm like writing it out.
Right. And there are some people who like would use their vision board
Yeah.
for that. I personally would use my 5-minute cold shower
Yeah.
suffering and then get out and finish because I had to have something else going on. So that was really hard, like just being in that mental space and not, like you said, like not physically doing anything and just like sitting under the cold water. I was like, okay, I don't know which sucks worse, to be honest.
No, I just found I was just wondering. I was just like,
Yeah. Or just like literally nothing is going on up there.
oh crap, what was I thinking about? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a very, very challenging one. I loved the power tasks or critical tasks that like you get to choose depending on you and depending on your day. And like I said, like some of them were different, some of them were the same. But that was a very good thing. And like I still kind of have carried that out into daily life, like just keeping one thing a day where like I make sure that my environment is clean. Like that is a game changer for me personally, knowing that you're organized.
I'm weird because like I have some things that are like I'm very organized, and then like some of this stuff's not super organized. But, like my closet's like, like I hate having like I have like my clothes have to be exactly like this. And maybe that's like something like in the morning. I'm like I don't want to be like searching. I just, like one of the things I do is I buy probably once a year. Well, not now. I got like nicer socks. I used to buy these just shitty socks once a year, but once a year I would just throw every sock away and buy 20 pairs of the same socks. And I was like, I couldn't have any socks that were different than that one. I was like, that's a pain in the ass. I gotta do my laundry. I gotta find the red sock that matches this one or this. And I was like, that sucks. I just want every sock to be this. I don't want to think about it. I just want to grab my sock pair and I put it on. What are some of the lessons you learned about like habit forming that you took away from this process?
Kind of like we talked on, like I think that there's things that you either you develop for the first time, if you're one of those people that's out of the pool that's never done things like this, or you redevelop the consistency in. I mean, like we talked, like 75 days is a long time to do the same thing over and over and over again. So like the habits I think that have stuck have been things like reading or like doing a cold shock at the end of the shower, things like that. Like it's not necessarily that you have to keep the same exact task, but you figure out after you've done the program what the best choice is for you to make sure that you're continuing that development and that discipline. Like we're so undisciplined by nature, we're just like all over the place unless you have a problem with addiction, we're pretty undisciplined. So like kind of creating that, like that spot in your mind that is actually addicted to completing these tasks or getting this thing done or having that mental reward, that mental toughness, like kind of playing with that spot in everybody's mind is different. But creating these habits that are hard to do, but are in your best interest, and choosing them and like not being soft about it and not being like, oh, like my closet's already organized. Like, so like, that's my task, check mark. Like, don't pat yourself on the back. Like you soft, weak person, you know what I mean? Like congratulations. Like you already did something that you were already doing. That's easy for you. So like, it would be like, okay, well, like now I just have to deal with the freaking socks in my drawer, and they're all gonna stay matched. You know what I mean? So things like that.
Check.
So creating these tasks for you that you don't want to do. Like my husband does not want to clean the garage out, but like making sure that we keep it clean is the best thing for you. And it's down to that simple, or it's life changing. Like people that don't work out, like doing 2 45-minute workouts a day, or like getting outside. Like I have family members that don't even go outside. They're like, oh, I haven't been outside in 4 or 5 days. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like go outside, see the sun, eat some dirt, like you'll be fine. It's good for you. So things like that I think is going to affect everybody differently. For me, it was definitely like reading, relearning the skill of like seeing what my diet looks like, having the confidence to say like, I'm cool. Like I don't need to drink to have a great time. Like having that confidence and that reassuredness in myself is a huge thing. And then also getting your community on board
Yeah.
with your lifestyle. I think that's a huge one. Like I said, like when I started, I was like, oh, like if I fail, I don't want everybody to think I'm a failure. Like everybody needs to know what your goal is and what you're searching for and keep you accountable to that and not give you that pat on the back like, oh, good job, you giant
Yeah.
baby. You tried your hardest. Like that is a freaking lie. Don't lie to people and don't lie to yourself. So like creating that discipline, getting that determination, whatever it is for you, just getting
Yeah.
it done. Absolutely having no excuse to not get it
Do you
done.
think it takes 75 days to create a habit? Do you think you can do it in 30?
Oh God, I think it takes a whole lifetime. Honestly, like I mean, like looking back, like I haven't done exactly like a day of 75 hard or a day of live hard exactly when I'm off the program. That's how fast you fall off of it. So I really think that it takes this lifetime, and you do the full live hard program, and then you go back through and you do 75 hard, or you do a phase that you know you need to do, or whatever that looks like for you after the fact. So I genuinely can't answer that. I genuinely think it takes a lifetime.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was thinking about was when you kind of first said you need the structure from it, is it's a good chance to kind of analyze your current structure and your current habits and kind of like see if that's purposeful. Because I think what a lot of this is like it's having purpose behind kind of everything that you do. And like we were saying is like a lot of us just kind of like go through life and our daily stuff and it's like that person's like, I just don't have the time. It's like you do. It's just you don't have purpose behind a lot of the time that you have. You have a lot of bullshit time that you're wasting.
With
Yeah, and like it's not every habit isn't necessarily something that you should implement. But you need to have purpose behind your usage of time, and if you're not utilizing that wisely, you should analyze that, change it, and then do what you need to implement those habits. So like part of it would be like what we talked about is like if maybe it doesn't take 30 days, maybe it takes you just getting your shit together today. You know?
No, exactly.
Maybe it's just being told like, you
all the
know,
way.
that's not acceptable. Change that. I needed to hear that. Cool. And now I'm going to change it.
Yeah. I think that's why the program is so wonderful in and of itself, because each of those tasks are so specifically designed to have that purpose, to better everybody. And they're also loosely enough, but with parameters designed that anybody could do it. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't say like 45 of it has to be cardio. Like you could literally go outside and walk around your driveway for 45 minutes. You don't have to have access to anything. Like it's not expensive. Your diet is your diet. Like if you're on a raw foods diet, knock yourself out. Just stick to it. So it's really just finding the thing that works for you at the end of the day and making sure that you can stick to it while challenging yourself, not just taking the easiest thing that you already automatically do.
I think the power of like having purpose behind what you do is like there's a reality that like your structure and habits are going to be this constantly changing thing. And I can say that like personally I've realized that a lot through like having kids. It's like I didn't have kids, my life like this. I had one kid, it changed. I have two kids, it changes. Three kids, it changes. One business, it changes. Two businesses, it changes. It's like it's just constantly evolving. So like if you're like married to the like, well, I have to do my 45-minute workout at this time, like that's that all or nothing. Like if I can't do that, I'm just not gonna do it at all. Like that's not good. It's finding like what are the things that you need to do that makes you the best version of yourself, and how do you implement them in, and like how do you rearrange your life on a continual basis to maintain those habits that you have purpose behind, you know, the time you are living for every single day.
And to add to that, like the purpose behind it is that you grow. Like it's not just having these habits and like having this perfectly little like color coded schedule, like hour 1 we do this, hour 2 we do that, but like actually having them in place with the idea of growth behind it, or like getting mentally tougher or physically stronger or whatever it is, like whatever yours is to grow in some area of your life. And like you said, like those areas are going to change. And I think that's probably why it takes a lifetime to develop habits. But every day that you're wasting a whole day of not having that habit.
Well, I think that what you said, like, powerful, is like hold people to a higher standard. And it's like, okay, there are different standards, physically, mentally, all that kind of stuff. The standard is that you're seeking to become the best version of yourself. Like failing to do that is unacceptable. And I think that's like a powerful thing that people should take away. Is like, you know, kind of like got away from this. Like, well, we don't want to shame people, give people bad emotions. I'm like, man, bad emotions are the catalyst for positive change.
Yeah, exactly. People grow from that.
Like telling someone like those are unacceptable actions. Like you not working out is unacceptable. You should feel bad about yourself for not exercising.
And also to know that like your community is upset for you. Like we're upset with the lack of growth that you're holding yourself to. Like the other day I came in and I was railing about weak ass people, and Mitch is like, easy. I'm like, no, seriously, I'm tired of these bitchy weak ass people they're constantly making excuses for themselves and constantly expecting you to accept that excuse. Like I'm holding you to the highest standard that I know that you can. That you can accomplish and you can determine and dedicate yourself to.
Yeah, because I want the best for you.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to see your growth.
And
I hope that you do the same for me too. That's kind of the community that I think we've developed, you've developed, and that I want to be a part of, and I don't want to be a part of any other community that doesn't have that.
It's hard. Like it makes relationships difficult when that's what you're used to and desire, and like you kind of get outside that, and it's like that does not exist in most situations.
Which is pathetic.
You know, and it becomes like a very frustrating thing. But yeah, like when I tell someone like, if you're not currently exercising, you should feel bad about that. That's unacceptable because I care enough about you to tell you that so that it will catalyze you to start becoming the best version of yourself. I don't want you to waste your life where you failed to become the best version of yourself. So I'm going to tell you, get you up on the gym. I'm going to tell you, I want to help you. I'm not telling you that to just like shame you into like, you know, not taking action. It's like I have to tell you, that's not okay. You need to change. I'm here to help you do so. And I think that's like the powerful message that the people should hear from that. It's like 75 hard may not be for you, but you probably need to change some shit up, you know?
Yes. And if this is one of the hardest programs out there and you're not doing any of those things, like you should probably reconsider what the hell you are doing.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. This taking on all of these tasks at once may be too much for you to swallow. It may be perfect for you, but it may be too much for you to swallow. But if you're not consuming water, you need to.
Yeah, we have a problem.
If you're not putting good food into your body and you're putting some bullshit in there, you need to change that shit up. If you're not exercising, you don't have to exercise twice a day every day. But if you're doing none of it, that's unacceptable. You should change that stuff.
Yeah. Like go outside.
If you're not getting outside,
go do something. Yeah.
You need to get outside.
Go do something
if
outside.
You're not reading, or if you're not seeking to increase your knowledge and improve yourself, like you should change that. You don't have to take a picture of yourself every day though. And I'm not going to hold you to that standard.
That's the one.
But I think.
But it still was designed to see that growth and to monitor that progress, and it still has its very, very, very legitimate purpose.
If you're not having some continual self-monitoring to kind of keep yourself, to keep yourself accountable for following this path, if you're not weighing yourself or getting on the in-body or doing some type of physical training or taking a picture of yourself, if you don't have some type of tracking that has shown you like, hey, you've been going off the deep end here a little bit, you can get back on track, then like you need something along those lines.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Cheyenne, that's been an hour. I thought that was super fun to talk about and super helpful.
That was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. NBS Fitness Radio out.
Thank you for listening to NBS Fitness Radio. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, follow us on social media, and check out our website at www.nbsfitness.net. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more NBS Fitness Radio.